pay for goods and services. Unlock that power with the My Airtel app. Visit the App Store or Google Play now.
That's my wife.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here, in the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking, to the taste of food that takes you on a journey, in the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth, in the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the Pearl of Africa.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Happiness comes to us in many places. It's in knowing the mosquito net keeps our children healthy. The wife having the support of her husband. It's in deciding together when to have a baby. And for some, focusing on what's important right now. So what's your happiness? Make the right health decisions to ensure happiness for you and your family.
Get connected today with the My Airtel 4G smartphone, the most affordable smartphone in Uganda. You get to enjoy free 1 GB for 1 whole year. My Airtel 4G smartphone, your best value for money. Visit the nearest Airtel outlet today and get one at only 250,000 Uganda shillings. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome to English in a Minute, from home. If someone told you to get out of town, would you really have to go anywhere?
Anna, I know we've both always lived in apartments, but last week, I finally bought a house.
Get out of town, you didn't.
I sure did. And it's right down the street from my favorite pizza restaurant.
Oh, pizza. Maybe I should think about buying a house.
You can say, get out of town, when you're surprised or find it hard to believe something someone said. It has the same meaning as phrases like, get out of here, you're kidding, or no way. And that's English in a Minute.
Welcome to the Living Room Stadium. It's the FIFA World Cup. The match is about to start. Food and drink ready. There's no space left for anyone. Come on, get your lucky chair. Take your usual spot. Even the puppy has one. It's preparation time. You can feel the tension in the air. And do you have everything you need to believe?
FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022. The wait is over.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
It's exactly 1 minute after the hour of 8 a.m. here on Good Morning Uganda. Thank you for joining us for this very special segment that is the GMU Agenda. Monday, 5th of December 2022. Welcome back from the weekend. I hope you're having a wonderful Monday morning. If things are going right for you, well, I hope and pray that the trend keeps on for the course of the day. And if things are not really doing right for you, I pray that as the day goes by, the day gets better, the Monday blues, we get rid of them. And I mean, that is why we are here on Good Morning Uganda, to help you give a fresh start for the day, but also for the week. We're in the last month of the year. And like I always say, well, keep things in check. Get that checklist, start ticking off. What have you achieved? What haven't you achieved? What can you do? How better are you? Or maybe how better can you get as we start getting ready to get into the next year? But also not forgetting that this is quite a month of festivities. We need to start getting into the mood. Put that Christmas tree up. If you haven't purchased it, maybe start thinking about it. It will make your life easier and probably try to lighten up the mood. I am Philomena Masco, and this morning I do have special guests with me in studio. We're going to be talking about something we have consecutively talked about, and we are not going to tire from talking about when it comes to mental health. That is quite a very crucial point that we have talked about not only today, not only yesterday, for the last couple of months, for the last couple of weeks, we have talked about this, and I can guarantee you that we are still talking about that. We'll keep reminding you because a healthy population is definitely a happy population. Well, this morning our conversation is going to be revolving around mental health challenges. How best can we address them? Now, a couple of months ago, the Ministry of Health did put out a report showing that about 14 million Ugandans were suffering from different mental health disorders. Now, that number, for example, is not good for us as a population, but also knowing that we have problems like that are still not yet addressed, and also knowing that maybe we haven't done quite well when it comes to creating awareness about mental health. Now, all these are the topics we're going to be discussing. And like I said, I do have some special guests with me this morning who are going to be aiding me in that discussion and giving us some of their insights. Well, to start off, I do have Mr. Zimbe Andrew Stefan, who is a student doing clinical psychiatry. Well, you're welcome, Mr. Andrew. Thank you for joining us this morning.
A pleasure is all mine.
Okay. And I also do have a lady in the house with me, that is Miss Nabagala Esiza, who is also a student at clinical psychiatry, who is going to be also giving us some more intel and details about what you need to know when it comes to mental health. Well, you're welcome, Esiza.
Thank you
very glad to have you here. Well, all this is courtesy of Mental Health Awareness Forum. Now, I know they'll be giving us some more details about that before we dive into what mental health is. Well, maybe just to start off with you, Mr. Stefan, you could just maybe throw some more light on the Mental Health Awareness Forum. What is this forum? What do you do? What does it comprise of?
Okay, thank you so much. This is Uganda Mental Health Awareness Forum, and it's an association or a forum that was started by passionate students of the schools of psychiatry, that is Butabika. We are still young. We started in July, and our aim is to increase awareness about mental health, and we are looking forward to having a world where mental health is valued, where mental health is promoted and protected.
Yes.
So we want to see that everyone gets equal opportunity when it comes to receiving mental health services. And basically, that's, in a nutshell, that's what I can talk about Uganda Mental Health Awareness Forum.
Okay.
Yes.
Remember, our conversation is online. Get into our socials, get into Twitter, #UBCGMU, and let us know. We are ready to see what you have to say on how best we can address the challenges of mental health in Uganda. You can also use our WhatsApp platform 0709 602 592. Now, Esiza, we are talking about mental health, what we have been throwing up and about. Everyone talks about mental health, but also I know that different people in our communities define it differently. Now, what is mental health? Coming in, you know, from, I could say, a professional to be? Yes. Could you define for us what mental health is?
Okay, thank you, Mrs. When we talk about mental health, and what you have to know is that it is an essential component of health. So when we're talking about mental health, I'll define it in the simplest manner that it is your ability to realize what you're capable of doing. It's your ability to be productive in a society. It's your ability to cope up with the normal stresses of life. So most of the times when you face situations, when you face losses, when you face different stress factors, and you're able to cope up with your stresses, because you can lose a person who is loved,
yes,
and then you can be able to understand the situation. You get ways of coping up with that situation. But someone who faces a tragedy and then they're not able to cope up, and then they are most eligible to get these mental illnesses.
Okay.
So that's how best I can really describe mental health.
All right. Now, getting back to the statistics that were released by the Ministry of Health, showing that we have about 14 million Ugandans who are suffering one or two or something in relations to a mental health disorder. But also we do have statistics that came in from the World Health Organization that were estimating that 1 in 8 people globally lived with a mental disorder. Now, this was for a period before COVID-19, and the situation has continued to worsen post-pandemic. Now, Stefan, we're looking at these numbers growing, but also it's very important for us to understand where does it come from, what is causing all these mental health issues, the disorders, what are the risk factors we are looking at right now?
Okay, thank you so much. First and foremost, I want to first shed more light about this. When we talk about mental illness, most people think of speaking uncoordinated words, think of maybe throwing stones.
Yes.
But you realize that this percentage of people that do this is actually 1% of those 14 million people. The most common mental disorders that we have depression, anxiety, and substance abuse. Those are the conditions that contribute to the 14 million people. You understand?
Yes.
So realize
so the
that
14 million categorized by those three main types. Yes.
Exactly. So those three are the main conditions that are affecting people. And to our surprise, people don't know that actually have these illnesses. So maybe I wanted to first clarify that so that people can know that actually when we talk about the 14 million people, we're actually very right.
Yes.
Remember when we talk, I have friends whom I share or whom I always live with. When they saw these statistics, they were like, but how can this be possible? You understand? But I think if I try to show it in that direction, they will know that actually if it's depression, anxiety, and substance abuse, these are common things, but they've not yet been addressed. Okay, people having them and, you know, they've not addressed them. Now, to go back to your question of the risk factors of these mental illnesses, first and foremost, the first risk factor is substance abuse. Substance abuse is the leading cause of mental illness, okay? And in an era where post-COVID, where people are, actually during COVID time, people had a lot of time and they were very idle, most of them resorted to using these substances. Substances themselves are not bad, okay? No, okay, I'm not saying that. Okay, we have, for example, alcohol and these other drugs, okay? But now we are saying that if you use them, even if it's alcohol, if you use it in a way that is not right, then it becomes what? An abuse. So the leading cause of the risk factor, the first risk factor is substance abuse. Okay. Then the other risk factor I can think of, the leading one, is COVID-19 itself has contributed a lot to mental illness. You see, people before COVID, people had they were working and they were getting what to eat. But now with COVID setting in, most people lost their jobs, and like she defined mental health that it's if you can cope with normal life stressors, then you're mentally healthy. But most of our people failed to cope up with this new COVID, with this COVID-19, which is new, and because of that, most people are depressed.
Yes.
Most people have anxiety. So I think COVID-19 has also contributed a lot to the skyrocketing cases of mental illness.
Okay.
So basically those two, for now, I think they are the leading causes. So for now, it's COVID-19 and substances.
Okay.
Yes.
So we could say the COVID-19 was a catalyst because this was there before, but after COVID-19 came in, the adjustments that had to come with it created quite a lot of issues. All right, we're talking about mental health disorders over here, but what are some of the types we're looking at right now? Because this is like one generic term we're using, but can we break it down? Are there types? Do people all suffer the same mental health disorder, or everybody suffers probably a different one?
Thank you very much for that question. It's quite interesting. I'm talking about the different types of mental illnesses. First of all, let me first explain how it will come about, simply, shortly.
Yes.
Because as a human being, we have what we call thoughts, we have what we call emotions, and then we have what we call behavior. So my thinking is going to affect my emotions, and my emotions are going to affect my behavior. So for example, if I have a loss, if I get to lose in a business, my thinking will be like, I'm a loser. I'm a loser. So you being a loser, you're going to have an emotion of sad. So you having sadness, later you're going to have a behavior, but you're going to isolate yourself from people. You're going to lose interest in pleasurable activities. And of course, it will lead to excessive sadness, excessive isolation. So now getting back to your question, yes, we have different types of mental illnesses. And then we have what we call the psychotic disorders. We have what we call depression.
Yes.
And people are always, most people are aware of what we call the bipolar affective disorder. And then still we have the alcohol and substance use disorders. We have anxiety disorders. So when you talk about the depression, simply to define about that depression. So depression, in a simpler language, will be like someone who experiences excessive sadness. It is a mood disorder. So someone will be excessively sad. Someone will lose interest in pleasurable activities. Someone will be hopeless, worthless. Someone is going to start having suicidal ideations.
Yes.
And of course, for me to say that you have depression, it will have affected your functioning. Like you're here, you're working, and then you lose interest in everything that you have interest in. So that is depression. Someone will start isolating themselves. They'll lose appetite. They'll be altered in their sleep motions. So that is how depression will present. And when we talk about the bipolar affective disorder that most people know about,
yes,
it has two. We have depression in it, and we have what we call mania. So we can call it bipolar manic phase. We can also say bipolar depressive phase.
Okay.
Because someone will have some episodes of depression, and then some other time they will experience episodes of mania. So depression, someone will have a low mood.
Yes.
But when you talk about mania, someone will have a higher, elated mood. So that people will be over talkative, they'll be hyperactive, they'll have all those kinds of, someone is, you're like, why are you so hyper today? Like,
yes,
it is too much.
Yes, this is not you, you're out of character.
This is not you, exactly.
Yes.
And they'll tend to be aggressive, so irritable. And those are people that, when this mental illness is not controlled in time, they'll be so aggressive, beating people, destroying things, being so destructive, and those are the manic patients.
Okay.
So that's the bipolar, and then the depression. And then anxiety. Anxiety, we're just here looking at a person who has fear, who has excessive worry, and it can be due to the experiences they have faced. Maybe it is floods, maybe it is rape. Like, it can be any trauma that someone can experience. So still, we don't diagnose these disorders because someone, out of a blow of a day, they've had a change of behavior. No. we are going to consider the social and then occupational function.
Yeah, because I was about to, like, you know, just in the conversation we're having prior to this, I was thinking, okay, a normal person ideally would go through most of these. Does that necessarily mean that they are depressed, or maybe they have anxiety? You know?
No, not really. So actually, when we're to diagnose patients with these disorders at the hospitals, we consider the duration of time. You get?
Yes.
Because someone can experience, let me say, bereavement. You have lost a dear one. So really, what do you expect to experience? You're going to feel sad. You're going to feel lonely. You're going to feel bad.
Yes.
So we shall first give it a scheduled time of duration. And if it has gone to the worst, that's when we shall come up to. And even when we are to give treatment to these people, we first give them ways of coping up with their stresses. And if they're able to cope up, they cannot get these mental illnesses. Yeah, so if we look at the duration, the functioning, we look at how they're able to cope up, and then the different symptoms that they exhibit. You can be sad, but how excessively sad?
Okay.
You can lose interest, but how long have you lost this interest? How long have you isolated yourself from these people? So that's what we consider.
Okay.
Yeah.
So also talking about these issues, Stefan, is there a possibility that somebody who is undergoing any of these mental health disorders, are they self-aware? Can they actually know that this is something happening to them? Or can somebody in the community or amongst your friends or family members, can they easily identify this and help out?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. Okay, to answer that, like she was talking about the mental disorders, they are classified into two.
Yes.
We have those that are mild and those that are severe. So with the mild mental disorders, these ones are people always have insight, okay? Like, for example, if you talk about depression, if you talk about anxiety, if you talk about substance abuse, people always have insight. Those are categorized among the mild what? Mild mental disorders. So people always have insight. They know that they are what? They are sick. But the problem with them is that people have not been educated. They know that they have a problem, but they don't know where to go to. And they think, you know, our culture, African culture, has made us think that we can survive on our own. You understand? But people always have insight. They know they are sick, but they just lack knowledge on where to go and seek hope. Okay? But then we have also the severe ones. The severe ones are those ones where people don't know that they are sick. And among them is that bipolar she talked about, bipolar affective disorder. We have schizophrenia. Okay? Now with those two, a person who don't have insight. So who will hope this person realize that he's sick and people around this person? Because we said that with mental illness, a person, okay, there is a disruption in behavior. Let's take an example. All people here, like your staff mates, know how you behave, right? So if you come on that fateful day when you've gotten this illness, your behavior will change, okay? They may be patient with you for the first day. The second day, third day, they're like, no. This is not the person we know. But for you yourself, you think that you're actually okay.
Yes.
So it's actually, so in most cases, it's people around you that realize that you're actually sick, and they'll seek hope on your behalf. You understand? Okay. But usually, this person will not accept that he's sick, because this condition is, this is a severe form of mental illness. I don't know if I've tried to shed more light about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, we're talking about addressing mental health challenges this morning on GMU Agenda, and I am joined by Stefan and Esses are both students at clinical psychiatry, throwing some more light on what mental health disorders are. What is mental health? Why is it relevant for you to have a stable mental health? How do you look out for it? Now, looking at some of the challenges, you know, at community level, at society level, like you did say, that very many people who probably are going through some of these things, but they're not seeking help. You did highlight one of the things about the culture mentality, or, you know, one of the, I could say stereotypes, where we believe that you doing that or trying to seek for help is clearly not the right thing. You're a very stable person, you can handle these issues. But looking at some of the challenges, what are some of the challenges that are really actually failing people from accessing the medical help they need, especially people in this category, people with mental health disorders? You know, from your observation, what's failing them? What's stopping them? What are some of the blockades that we should probably, you know, create more awareness about?
Okay, the most challenges that they're facing, stigma and discrimination, especially if we are to talk about the community levels.
Yes.
Why? How is it coming about? It's because of the different myths that people have about mental illnesses. For example, we can be at the hospital and then people in communities can have such myths. Can be like, mental illness is a punishment from gods.
Oh no.
No? Yes, that's the kind of myths they have, that belief. And then they can be like, epilepsy, you've heard of epilepsy?
Yes.
Like when you touch a patient who has epilepsy, that saliva that it can easily transmit to you. Like,
can I tell you, I grew up knowing that is one of the...
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow.
So you see those myths that people have. Obviously, when person gets a fit, no one is going to help.
Yes.
And really, the patient is going to have problems or different outcomes. And then they can also be like, patients, what can heal, it's because the witchcraft. So if it's because of the witchcraft, that means what can heal this mental illness is going to shrine.
Yes.
So,
and I mean, still speaking about the issue of witchcraft, we've really seen stories again about Ebola. We are struggling with Ebola and people are running to shrines.
Thank you very much. So if you look at those kinds of perspective, and I am diagnosed with schizophrenia, how am I going to come out I have mental illnesses? So even when people realize that they're not functioning well, they're still going to try to avoid it or to go to better traditional methods so they can get those kinds of help. And then if we talk about another challenge, it's because of the ignorance. People are not aware about mental illnesses. If you look at the definition of health by the World Health, and it says it is a state of complete physical, mental, social well-being of an individual. So you see that mental is an essential part.
Yes.
But we are giving more emphasis to the physical part. You get, if someone is free from HIV, if someone is free from hypertension, and then they seem to be fine. So we are ignorant about the different symptoms of how someone will present with mental illnesses.
Yes.
And then people are losing jobs because they're not able to function at their workplaces. Obviously, as my friend Andrew talked about it, he said that I'm going to behave in this way today. I behave in this way the next day. I can even beat up someone. Sorry about that. And obviously, even if you're to stabilize and then get treatment, and then you come back, it will be hard for your bosses to give you a chance again to work.
Yes.
So those are one of the major things that we are seeing people facing.
Okay.
And we really, that's the reason why we've even come up with this organization, so that people can be aware and they can know that mental illnesses can be treated.
Yes. Okay. And still speaking about that, Stephen, for a person who has a mental health disorder, what's the worst that can happen if they don't seek out for medical help? What are some of the extreme events that we'll be looking at?
Okay, the extreme events, the worst is death, okay, especially if you look at anxiety, depression, and substance abuse. And these are the most common disorders right now in the community. The worst that can happen is suicide, okay. Recently we've seen very many children in schools.
Yes.
I think you've been following this.
Oh, yes.
Very many students in schools have committed suicide.
Exactly.
Okay. And if you look at the underlying cause of these suicides, there's an underlying mental problem, probably a depression that was not, seen at earlier stages, because we are in a society where this is not given attention, So the worst that can happen is death, okay? But still there are other things that happen. For example, people have lost jobs, okay?
Yeah.
So we have people, because people are stigmatizing, people have stigma to these people that have mental illness, okay? They look at them as outcasts, as misfits. So if today I have a job and I happen to get mental illness along the way, and probably I go and receive treatment and come back, my job will not be there.
Yes.
Okay, so people have lost jobs. Okay, then we also have a challenge of, for example, I think probably it's that death,
yes,
and also loss of job, and also I think esteem,
yes,
okay, because the society is not welcoming, okay, because people fail to understand that mental illness is like any other illness,
illness, true.
The same way you can get malaria, the same way you can get cough, HIV, it's the same thing, okay?
Yes.
It's an illness like all other illnesses, and the good news is that it's treatable.
Thank you.
You understand?
Yes.
And after receiving medication, you can function the way you used to function before getting the illness. Yeah. Okay. So I think that loss of self-esteem, okay, death, okay, which is usually in form of suicide, and also I think loss of jobs. Okay. Those are the worst things that can come out of mental illness if not addressed at earlier stages.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, also, every single time we have this conversation, and I think we really need to like throw more light on this and more clarity. Okay. When we talk about mental health disorders, we tend to think that this is amongst a specific type or age group of Ugandans or of people. We probably think it's maybe among adults, all right. And I feel like one of the people we talk about less are children. Yes. And I mean, the other day, one of our dailies, our Ugandan daily papers reported that in just 1 year, schools, we've lost about 20 children who have committed suicide just one academic year. And you're probably wondering, why would a child in probably senior 1, senior 2, senior 3 decide to take their life? Now, maybe if you can throw more light on that, is there a possibility that we have mental health disorders, especially amongst young children, amongst teenagers? And I mean, how easy is it for you to identify as a parent? What are some of the things you need to look out for before you decide to go and seek medical help for your child?
Thank you very much. That's a very good question. When we talk about the different mental illnesses, we have them in different age groups.
Yes.
Children are so much affected with these disorders, and parents are not able to see them. Teachers are not able to see them. And actually, talking about those childhood disorders, these children, by the way, can get these illnesses bloodline from the parents.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, it is inherited mental illness. Some of the illnesses can be inherited. But we have even children who can, during their birth, process of delivery, their brains are affected, and by the time they are born, you find that they're having those problems. The first thing that we can have, most of the common illnesses, epilepsy. Epilepsy is so common in children, and actually we're talking about the suicide, those children being affected at school. Children of around high school, you're having a fit, you're falling in class, you're bringing out saliva, you're jerking, your body is shaking. Your friends are going to run away from you. You're going to lose friends. And some teachers are also not having knowledge about epilepsy, by the way. So you'll find that this child is going to be discriminated and stigmatized from the friends. And what will it lead to? Bullying. It will lead to suicide. Another thing we shall have, we have intellectual disabilities.
Yes.
Because during their birth, we can have birth defects, like the brain can be affected. So you see this child is not even acquiring new knowledge or new skills so earlier than their friends would be. The teacher is always abusing this child. You're not even good, you know, even your parent, child brings back a report, and then you're even just complaining about the child.
True.
You're not trying to find out what's wrong with my baby. Maybe this child has an intellectual disability.
And an ordinary Ugandan parent will just decide to give you some good serious strokes of a cane.
Thank you.
Yes.
So by the time they'll realize later when it is really too late. So please, parents, take note. And then another illness we have what we call attention deficit hyperactive disorder. So these babies, at times when they're born, when they're young, they're always up and down. They're hyperactive.
Yes.
But there are times when it can be so excessive. For example, if a child is above 6 years and then you take them to church, they don't know that I have to sit down in my chair and then I settle. They're always destroying things. They don't want to listen. Parents, you have to take note of all those kinds of symptoms.
Yes.
They're always irritable. They want food at that time, and then they'll float tantrums all over.
Yes.
They'll fall down, and then they do all kinds of behaviors. So all those are the different illnesses that can happen. We have what we call autism. I think you've heard of that
yes,
kind
I've had
disorder.
parents talk about their autistic children.
Thank you.
Yes.
You give birth to a child, by 2 years you expect this child to have a good communication, to speak, like to bring out speech.
Yes.
But 2 years, your child is even not speaking, or sometimes when they're trying to communicate to you, their communication is not clear. 4 years, child is not bringing out a very good speech. So those are ones of the symptoms. And then still another thing is that they'll have stereotypic behaviors whereby they want to eat the same food,
yes,
play with the same toys, do the same clothes. Children will have those kinds of different behaviors from the rest of the children, and they can be able to realize.
Yes.
So those are some of the common illnesses in the children.
Okay. Now, talking about the progress, you know, in Uganda as a country generally, how well do you think we are dealing with this? Have we put in more effort, you know, maybe from the ministry, support from government, support from partners? Do you think this is one of the issues we have prioritized, seeing as that we are having very many driving factors causing the numbers to go higher? I mean, we're talking about 14 million people. These are statistics that were collected in 2019, but a lot has happened between 2019 and 2022. Matter of fact, there is quite a lot that is yet to happen. So we do not know if these numbers are going to be managed. You know, we are going to make sure that we have progress. But in your observation, do you think we've made progress? And I mean, what more do we need to do to especially support this very specific issue?
Okay, thank you so much. First and foremost, I think government has tried, okay? Because right now, if you look at the current curriculum in all medical schools, okay, whether it's a nurse or a medical doctor or everyone, even if it's allied health practitioners,
yes,
they always have a course unit of mental health, okay? This is all aimed at making sure that at least when after them qualifying, they have knowledge about mental health. The aim of this is to enable them at least identify and refer to where hope is, okay? So that is the first step. The second step, government has tried, okay, and this is as a matter of fact, because, you know, initially the first health workers that were produced, especially nurses, most of them had no knowledge about mental health.
Yeah, exactly.
But through the MH gap, the MH gap is the World Health Mental Health Gap Action Program.
Yes.
Okay. So through this program, government has reached out to all health centers and hospitals and doing CMEs. These are continuous medical education programs to make sure that at least each health worker has knowledge about mental health. This is all aimed at enabling these health workers to identify, okay, at least to identify and do some primary management of mental health illnesses. Yeah? Yeah. But still, the challenge we have is that these are at hospital level.
Yes.
Okay. And yet the problem is in the community, okay? So people, first and foremost, don't know what is entailed in mental health. That's the biggest challenge, yeah. Okay? People only think that mental illness, like I told you at first, it's only, it entails only people that are behaving, okay, people that are throwing stones and maybe speaking unconnected words, okay? Yet the biggest population, okay, the highest percentage of mental illnesses is entailed by those depression, anxiety, and substance abuse disorders, which people don't know that are actually mental illness. Because from the definition of mental health, we said that if a person cannot cope up with life stressors, okay, if a person cannot realize his abilities, if a person cannot contribute to the well-being of his community, then you're not mentally healthy. You understand? So if you look at yourself, for example, you get a stress and you can't cope up with it, you're not mentally healthy. If, for example, you can't realize your abilities, you're not mentally healthy. If you can't contribute to the well-being of your community, you're not mentally healthy. So this is information people don't know. Yeah, you understand? Eh? So people only look at the extreme of mental health or mental illness. Yet there are these simple things, and to make matters worse, okay, the good news is that these conditions can be prevented.
Yes.
Okay, if you look at depression, can be prevented. Anxiety can be prevented. Okay, and also substance abuse can also be prevented. That's why we are saying that government has done enough, okay, in ensuring that all health workers have knowledge about mental health, okay, and at least its management. But a lot has to be done to the lay person, so that people have knowledge about what is entailed in mental health and what to do to maintain their good mental health.
Yes.
And that's probably why we started this association. So we are moving to schools, okay? We are moving to schools. The other day we were at St. Cyprian, okay? Trying to, the administration granted us some time, and we spoke to the learners, and we revealed to them very many things, and through the interaction we had, we got a lot of information from them, okay? So we believe that if we can move to schools, if we can go to communities and spread this knowledge so that people can identify who a mental health person is and who a mentally sick person is.
Yes.
We believe a lot can be done, and you know, these levels, the 14 million people, can come down as possible.
Okay.
Yes.
Addressing mental health challenges going out right now, and we're having a conversation about this very specific topic here on GMU Agenda, right on UBC TV, where we live to inspire. And we do have some feedback that is coming in through our WhatsApp platform, and we have Joachim here who is saying that my doctor told me I have anxiety disorders. Little did I know it's a mental illness. My body burns. My body feels like it's on fire when I get scared, and it lasts for a longer time, depending on what I am going through. Thank you so much for this education. And I also do have one coming in from Simon Peter, who is saying that thank you for that teaching. Very many people think it is not a serious issue. But also I have Gloria here, who is asking, is it possible that some of our community members contribute to some of these mental disorders amongst people? Do you think that sometimes the society can be a contributing factor? And I mean, is it only society, or what is it that they do exactly that could probably, you know, put somebody through quite some hell of time?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Gloria.
Yes.
Yeah. That question has been good. Yes, society, communities contribute a lot to mental illnesses. As he talked about the risk factors.
Yes.
He gave us substance and all that, but you also have some other risk factors. Domestic violence. It is very essential. Women are passing through domestic violences, and you always hear them on televisions being beaten up. I don't know if men also experience the same thing, because they say it's vice versa.
Yes.
But people can keep quiet. People are being battered, people are being beaten up, people are being mistreated. And by the time they'll come up to speak, their mental health is affected.
Yes.
You look at children who are undergoing a lot of suffering, who are being beaten up, mistreated.
The trauma as well.
Yeah, the traumas they're going through, they're being abused psychologically, emotionally, and then physically. So you realize by the time these children are going to come up to speak, they're already affected. It's not even going to, it may not affect them in their childhood. By the time they grow up, the way they perceive the situations that happen throughout their life, they're going to end up getting different mental illnesses. Anxiety is going to happen. Depression is going to happen. So a lot of things contribute. Even the society floods.
Yes.
Floods, wars. People who suffered wars 10 years ago, it's very possible that at this time of moment, they're experiencing different traumas and mental illnesses. Anxieties they're having what you call post-traumatic stress disorders.
Yes.
And they can't really tell what's happening to their lives. They're having those tremblings, they're having those shakings. They fear situations. They're like, let us go back to Mubende. No, there was a war. You don't know what they experienced there, but it's because of that trauma that they faced. That's the reason why people who are facing floods, if you go to Bududa now, people who face those kinds of floods, mind you, if you try to clock out and see those patients, people are facing mental illnesses. So society contributes a lot.
All right. Now, also, we can't talk about this topic, Stefan, and we don't talk about social media. You know, what's the link? Because we have seen very many statistics, very many stories coming in showing that social media has a link also in one way or another. Social media use when it comes to, you know, one of the causes as to why we are seeing some of these disorders now. We just need, again, some clarity on that. Is it true that there is a link between social media use or usage and also these mental health disorders? And if yes, how do we, I mean, what is that link exactly?
Okay, thank you so much for that
And
question.
anyway, to what age group? Teenagers, children, adults? Because now everyone is really flooding social media.
Everyone is.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for that question. Okay, to answer that, recently, if you look at the DSM 5 that we're using, okay, but the one that is going to be okay, there is a condition that is actually to be that is actually being reviewed.
Yes.
It is actually supposed to, okay, in future they are still analyzing. But there's a condition called internet addiction, internet use disorder.
Yes.
Okay. That with this disorder, because like I told you, with mental health, anything that affects your functionality becomes a disorder. You understand?
Yes.
So long as it has to do with the brain. You understand? That most people, because of using the internet and social media, have failed to perform at their workplaces.
Thank you.
You understand?
Yes.
So don't get surprised in future when this, because it is still under study, okay? But don't get surprised in future when it is brought to attention, because for sure, if you observe right now, when people have lost jobs because of social media,
it's
okay?
really bad.
So in that context, okay, it is a matter of concern, okay? People need to have self-control, okay?
Yes.
You know, self-control is also part of mental health, okay? So if you don't have self-control, if you don't know what to do at what time, still you need hope. You understand? Eh? So in that context, it is a challenge, okay? But also still to the other context, yeah? For example, if you look at the way materials shared, okay, on certain media platforms, yeah? For example, we have these are terrifying images.
Yes.
You understand? Eh? The way they are shared, for example, I remember the bombings that were in Kampala. There were some videos which were circulating, okay? Now, such videos can be trigger factors for conditions like post-traumatic stress disorder, which we call PTSD, okay? Because with it, you don't just mere watching that and, you know, someone may develop, you know, because with this PTSD, someone has symptoms of nightmares, okay? Someone has symptoms of flashbacks of something that they saw which was terrifying. People also have those intrusive thoughts always coming in about that thing, and when these thoughts and nightmares and images start disrupting your normal functioning, then it becomes a disorder. So we've seen very many people coming to hospital, reporting, and on taking history, the cause of their condition or the cause of their problem was actually a traumatizing video they watched on social media, okay? So I believe social media in that way also contributes to poor mental health of people, okay? Yes. I think probably in that context, I think I've tried to bring in.
Yes.
So it's mainly with young people, okay?
Yes.
Because adults really at times you're a bit strong and you can withstand that terrifying
it's
images,
not it's not something that they've really grown up with, but right now when you look at the young adults, the millennials, the you know, it's social media, you'll find a child in senior 1, a child in P7 with a phone. And yet back in the day for us, we got phones like, you know, at university level, and yes, you're able to control yourself. So it really makes sense. But as we're trying to wind up, we need also to look at how we can manage this disorder. Okay, it's not, we will talk about it, the causes and all that, but how do we get to manage it, you know, from an individual level to community level and to, you know, to a country as a level? How do we get to support some of these mental health disorders, and how do we, you know, stop it from progressing? Maybe you know, Cesar, you could start right on an individual level. How can you, is it preventable? Can you actually help yourself before things get any worse? And maybe Stefan, you can also look at the community level, and maybe later on we'll also look at the country level.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you look at an individual, you as a person, first of all, like the reason why we're here is about mental health awareness.
True.
So an individual has to be aware of the different signs, the kinds of things that will show that he or she is not really functioning, that things are now coming out of power. So there's what we call a crisis. There's when you face a crisis, like you lose a beloved one. You as an individual, you have a serious business, all of a sudden you face a loss. So you expect a stress. Talk to someone. First of all, you don't consider yourself to be the strongest person that you can be. You should talk to someone, share with someone. And they always say a problem shared is half solved. So it's so very important that when you talk to someone, they help you to cope up with situations. And then another thing is that we have health services. We have people fear about Tabika. I don't know why.
You know, when you tell somebody that, yes, it's
and yes, even us as students, we are facing that kind of stigma. I'm from Butaika. Like it's like not even a human.
Yes.
But Butaika does not only provide treatment, it also provides preventive services to people to an individual. So if you try and then you find that you have a stressful event, try to find out, go to a psychologist, go to a psychotherapist. Those services are always there to help you cope up with the different situations.
Okay.
So it's just up to you accepting the situation that you're facing and experiencing, and help is always around you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Stefan, at a community level, how do community members, how can they support people who are going through such a situation?
Okay, thank you so much. Maybe I want to first go back to at a personal level. There's a point I want to emphasize more at personal level. You see, there's what we call resilience. Okay, you realize that not everyone that loses a person goes into depression. Okay, and not everyone that makes a loss in business goes into what? Depression. It's actually a few that go into depression. Now, does it mean that these people are not hurt? The fact is that they are hurt. Okay. But what makes them special is this resilience they have. Resilience is the ability to bounce back after a stressful event, okay? Resilience is a muscle that is developed over what? Over time,
yes.
Okay? And how do you develop resilience? Resilience is developed by always, because if you go into studies of psychology, realize that it's not the stressing event that causes the depression or that causes the emotion. It's actually the thought that you attach to the stressing event. For example, if you make a loss in a business, okay, so if you attach a negative thought onto this loss, that's when you're going to shoot into what? Depression. You understand? So our people should always learn to attach positive thoughts to a negative what? Sorry, to any incident, be it a stressing event. Because if you don't attach a positive thought to it, you're going to end in what? That's why you can find two people, one loses, they are both in the same family, all have lost the mother, but it's only one who falls into what? Depression. So probably this person is not resilient enough. So it's not easy to become resilient. It's a muscle that we develop over time, and we develop it by always thinking positively. Even if even if the problem you are in is so huge, always look for the good thing into this problem. And once you do that, always you're going to come out and you're not going to the other side. You not become depressed. Okay. Now moving back to the community level, I believe what the community has to do to stop stigmatizing people that have gotten mental illnesses. Realize that why people don't want to seek hope, and people don't want even to come to Butabika or even to go to, because if you look at the health structure of Uganda, okay, psychiatric treatment starts at health center 2.
Yeah, true.
You understand?
Yes.
Okay, so even if you go to health center 2 today, you receive hope. Okay, at least if hope is not there, you'll be referred to where your hope is. Okay, even if you go to health center 3, there is hope. Health center 4, there is hope. District hospitals, there is hope. Regional hospitals, there's a unit of mental health, and even Mulago, there is a unit, and Butabika itself. You understand? But people fear to go this way because people stigmatize those that go there. You understand?
Yes.
Today, if a person comes and tells you I'm from Butabika, okay, people begin attaching those negative emotions about them. You understand? So I think we should man up, we as the community
and health workers
and health workers and all people, so that we stop stigmatizing these people, because we found out that why people don't want to seek hope. That's why even when they know, they actually, even after teaching them that these are the symptoms, they fear to come for hope, because they know after me going for hope and people knowing that I've been to Butabika or been to a mental unit, they are going to begin isolating me and stigmatizing me. Probably I'm going to even lose a job. So I think the community should stop stigmatizing people. Let them know that this condition can affect anyone. Okay, we are all victims of mental illness.
Yes.
Okay, we are all victims of mental illness. So let us not stigmatize these people. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If we end stigma of mental patients, I think we shall achieve a lot.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Stefan and Esiza, for throwing that light. We need it, and for coming in here and, try to encourage people to do the right thing, people to support each other, and all these, of course, it's courtesy from Uganda Mental Health Awareness Forum. When we speak of awareness, they're here to do that. And in the same spirit, We are also here to make sure we create more awareness. Like I did say at the start, we're not going to tire from this. It's a pledge we make to make sure that everybody is in check. Everybody knows what's happening around them, what's happening to them as well in terms of mental health awareness. And again, as part of society, don't be the kind of person who stigmatizes. Don't be part of the problem, but you can be part of the solution, because at the end of the day, that is the ultimate goal. Well, still getting to our socials, the conversation is still going on, and let us know how best we can address these mental health challenges we are facing in Uganda. Remember that the goal here is to make sure we stop the numbers from growing and probably get rid of all the current statistics, and we'll get back to zero. A healthy population is a happy population. I'm Philomena Masco. Have a very beautiful Monday morning and a lovely week ahead. Good morning.